G'day guys, this is a ECU a customer sent in. They'd like it reflashed with our open source software and tested before shipping it back. So I'll take you through it. It's pretty simple to reflash. It does involve opening up and using a debugging cable. I can go more into that if you want, but this will be the basics. You typically shouldn't ship an ECU in Glad wrap. So this is used, there's some marks of corrosion, but they are really well sealed inside, and I'll show you that. Oh, actually, there's a few bent pins. I don't know if you can see that. So we'll straighten those pins up as well, and we'll get started. I'll just straighten those pins and I'll be right back. Okay, there's always the risk of snapping a pin off when you do that, but that seemed to go quite well, and we'll carry on. So you'll need a Torx bit for this. I think it's let's have a look. It's a T15 Torx bit. I have seen ECUs where these screws are seized in and they'll snap off when you try to open them, but this one seems to be not too bad. There's no corrosion in the threads. To waterproof these, they put a bead of, it's like a really sticky, I'm not sure what you'd call it. It's like a glue, but it doesn't set, so it always stays tacky. Anyway, we need to loosen that up, so we're going to heat this up in front of a small space heater. Get it about, I don't know, 50 degrees, just so it's warm. Sorry, we're back. I think we ran out of storage. We'll see how this goes. Alright, so as I was saying, we need to heat up this ECU to about 40-50 degrees to loosen up the glue that they've used to waterproof and seal the top to the bottom. So we're going to go put this in front of a heater, get it nice and warm, and then we'll lift the corners up and it should come apart nice and easy. I'll be right back. Okay, so you don't want it hotter than you can handle, so that's pretty good around about there. So if all goes well, we should be able to just lift these corners up. There we go. So I'll just pop that aside and we can get onto the flashing. So there is one mod you can do to these boards, and it is required if your TPS sensor isn't Hall effect. If it's like a potentiometer, you will need to lift and remove this resistor here. So I'll go ahead and I'll do that first. 1 second while I turn the iron on. Okay, hopefully you can see this, but we'll apply a little bit of fresh solder. That'll help transfer the heat to the pads. Now these resistors have glue holding them down. It's part of the old process for surface mount soldering. So you need a little bit of heat on the component, and then it should eventually just lift. There we go. And I'll grab it and I'll put it just to the side in case the customer wants to put this back in. There, so I'll just put one leg attached. That won't affect the circuit at all. So with this out, this is actually a 12 volt pull-up resistor, which will affect the TPS percentage if you're using a variable resistor style. If it's a Hall effect, they have a buffer on the output and that'll be fine. Even with this resistor removed, you can still use a Hall effect, that's okay. But if the cable is disconnected, it won't throw an error code, as it doesn't have a sort of reference to go by. As it is, if you were to disconnect the cable to the TPS, that would max out at 12 volts and Oh, excuse me, someone's here. Okay, we're back. So resistor's been moved and we are good to go at reflashing. To do that, you will use a nice and cheap KKL cable. These are from AliExpress or eBay. These are at $5 US each. And the cable here is just a breakout for the pins in the adapter here. So we're running after ground, 12 volts, and the K-line signal itself. So on these pins here, we'll apply 12 volts to the top right. On this one, we'll apply ground to the top right of this one. We need 12 volts on the 5th small pin along on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our K-line signal is the 3rd on the bottom of the small pins. 1, 2, 3. I'll just go grab a bench power supply. You will need 12 volts on these red wires here to power up the ECU. Okay, so this is probably the hardest part of this whole mod and the most dangerous. What you want to do is get a ground wire and ground the 2nd pin of this flash IC, but you don't want to ground it while there's power applied. It has to be grounded, then apply power, and then release the ground, and that'll put the CPU into debug mode and allow you to reflash this flash chip with our custom software. So we'll apply the ground, apply the 12 volts, and remove the ground. Our lab supply is showing 106 milliamps, which is correct at 12 volts, and we're now okay to write the new firmware. Alright, let's try again. That's right. So this will take about 20 seconds or so to flash the firmware, and then we need to write the tune to it. This will just be a base tune for a 4-cylinder. Okay, now we have our firmware flashed to this device. It'll accept commands without us having to ground that pin. We shouldn't need to go into boot mode again. From here on in, it's all done via software. So we can go update the tune, which is just there. And this is just writing a base tune to the ECU. Alright, and if that was all done correctly, we should be able to go into Tuner Pro and hit connect. There you go. And it'll say down the bottom what firmware we're running. This is version 0.04. And you should be able to stream data. I mean, there's no sensors attached, but yeah, that's all information here. And to upload a tune, you can do it through here. And you'll see at the bottom. So that's for an entire calibration being written. But if you're just doing, for example, Spark under boost, you can change one of these cells and put it into emulation mode, and then you can modify these cells in real time as the engine's running, and you just click upload and it'll upload to the ECU. So that's pretty much it. We've got our code running on our ECU now. I'm going to go seal this back up, plug it into my car, and make sure all the sensors are reading correct, and then I'll ship it off to our customer. So yeah, comment down below if you want more info, and thanks for watching.